So hello. It's time for another episode of Brenda's Musings. And quite frankly, I thought I had done a musing today, but when I went back and looked, I saw that it wasn't there. So I'm not quite sure what happened. But it did give me a topic for today, which is the concept of time and how we often lose that concept. Oftentimes we may not even know what day of the week it is. That's happened to me numerous times. We think we get involved in something and time just seems to stand still. And other times we get involved in something and we look up and it's like, what? 3 hours have passed by? Like, where did that time go? So time is constant, but in our own reality, we see it as shifting all of the time. And quite often when you want more time, there's no more time to be had. And other times when you want time to pass quickly, it seems to stand still. And it's just kind of funny, right? I think about, trips. You're planning a big trip somewhere exciting. And you've got all this lead time, like maybe 6 months out. So you've got your trip planned, you're talking about what excursions you're going to go on, what fun things you're going to do, what you're going to go and see, who you might meet, all that kind of stuff. And there's all this build up to the trip. And then before you know it, you're on the trip. And then in the blink of an eye, the trip is over. And, you may or may not have accomplished everything that you had set out to do initially. And more stuff may have happened as well. But then suddenly the trip is over. And so then it's like, well, what do you have to look forward to next, right? Do I plan another trip? Because the buildup was like so long and was so exciting. And the trip happened and you were just living in the moment. And then the trip's over and it's like, oh, wow, like that really came up suddenly. So, again, time just sort of floats around, right? And we put our own context around it. I was going to say we use it, but it's not so much that we use it. It's that we don't seem to grasp it somehow. At least that's how I feel sometimes. And yet, if we were present just in the moment, just in this one moment of time, if all I thought about was what is happening right now, here with you, while I'm taping this musing, then the concept of time would remain constant because it is only right now. What time is it? It is right now. It's not tomorrow. It's not yesterday. It's not next week. It's not 6 months from now. It's just now. And in that being just now, like people might think, okay, well, that's kind of boring because you don't have this build up to this big trip. You don't have all this stuff going on during the trip, which you do. So the key is that you stay present in that moment. Whatever the moment is that you're living in, if you can stay present in that moment, and it's not easy. I'm not going to lie, it's not easy. It takes a lot of practice. And I'd say I'm probably like 20% there. Some days are better than others, I have to admit. Some days are like, yeah, wasn't present for one moment of the day, it seems like. But when you are present in that moment, that's the excitement, right? It's like when I talk about, art all the time, the creative process. The process is the excitement. That's the being and the living in the now. And that's what life should be about. The life shouldn't be about what happened yesterday or what's going to happen tomorrow, because A, tomorrow may never come. B, 20 gazillion things could happen that'll totally change the trajectory of tomorrow. So instead of living through all that in your head, while you're doing that, you're missing out on what's happening right here and now in front of you. And that's the key. At least that's what I think is part of the key anyway, is just living in the here and now. And in that way, time remains constant. And that's my musing for the day. Have a great one, everyone.